Yeah.
I've got the rest. I've got the rest of the story about the British royals and their satanic bloodline.
Okay, Tim, welcome to the show. Yeah, let's discuss that. That'd be brilliant. Just let everyone know freedomtalkradioonline.com and shakespearescodex.com. Google or for Timothy Spearman if you want to get in touch on Facebook and everywhere else. Yes, that
Right.
sounds interesting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, people can find the website Shakespeare's Codex, Shakes, Shakespeare's Codex dot
.com.
com. Yeah. And I recommend you do and check out my videos that Andy posted on there and some of the songs that I've made with my musician friends in the past. They're pretty catchy. Dr. Carly used to blast them in her car down down in Florida.
Wow. Was that sacred geometry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the days are numbered. Yeah,
Those are definitely numbered one way or the other.
yes, sir.
If you're not getting people to murder you, you're getting your age is going faster than you expect.
Right.
Yeah, I've just had a new website called Vaccine Injustice, about the profitable harm and the vaccine problems people are facing, whether they have one vaccine or 10 vaccines in one go. It's definitely
Yeah.
a killer. They should, I mean, you've got to be a little bit fair. I know some people think that nobody should have any vaccines, but if you have to have any, they're a lot safer having them singly than they are multiple. And the ones that have been researched not to harm too many people. But the trouble is with all health things, I know we're not talking about that, but all health things, what's good for you might not be good for me. So, if it's damaging or killing 5 million out of 10 million people, then there's still got to be a danger, isn't it? So just because 5 million didn't have any reaction, the other 5 million though did. So it's it's just don't have them.
Well, the fact of the matter is the COVID vaccine killed more people than the disease for which it was prescribed. So what does that tell you? Um, well, in my view, it's a bioweapon, whether intended to be or not. We can debate until the cows come home. I don't care. It's a bioweapon. It's killing millions of people. So it's got to be discontinued. It should have been a long time ago. The fact they keep mandating it, keep saying it's safe, they're lying, 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 because they're liars, criminal liars. They need to be prosecuted and they need to be imprisoned. That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, even the bad guys, the mainstream media now are agreeing that they're definitely killed. That is a fact now. That it's killed more people than the vaccine did than the actual disease. So that's now actual fact. You can't. The fact they're going on with it after them facts, God knows. We're gonna have to fact check the fact checkers, I think. Like we
Yeah.
have to debunk the debunkers. Yeah, but what's that
Yes.
article you've got them?
Yeah, that's right. I did write an article called Debunking the Debunkers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, anyway, monarch of Israel. The English monarch's coronation has been explicitly Judaic ever since at least the coronation of William III of Orange. On 11th of April, 1689, William III's coronation text contained the formulation, Thy people Israel. And this formulation has been used for every single monarch since then. In 1500 to 1800, almost all English monarchs referred to themselves openly as monarch of Israel. So this stuff about British Israel is not fabrication. They really believe this stuff. You know, they claim descent from King David. Now, some researchers are questioning whether King David actually exists because there is no historical record of his existence outside of the biblical text. But whether or not King David exists, does the British royal line really have descent from King David? We will never know because the records on that do not exist. We'll talk about that later. Queen Victoria, because the British Empire reached its zenith during the reign of Queen Victoria, she presided over a lot of Britain's genocide, especially in India, China, and Ireland. She also popularized Spiritism and other dark occult practices. Now, I mentioned that my friends have done research on this, and they actually think Madame Blavatsky and Queen Victoria are the same personage. Just, you know, posing as two different individuals when they're actually the same individual. Maybe. In 1837, Victoria became witch number S10 of the world's topmost witchcraft coven called the Order of the Witch Garter. Her reign was probably the most witchcraft influenced in history. Okay, so Edward VII reigned for 9 years until his death in 1910, but was already the most politically active monarch in history starting in the 1860s. He built the Entente Cordiale and the Triple Entente, thus helping to divide Europe into two armed camps for the human sacrifice of World War I. Edward VII can be safely regarded as the architect-in-chief of World War I and World War II, and of the German Holocaust of 37 million ethnic German civilians from 1814 to 1855, although he predeceased most of his great works. Edward VII was the main driving force behind Britain and Zionism, orchestrating, financing, and executing World War I and World War II. Britain and Zionism must take equal 50% shares of the credit for the total death toll of 150 million in the Christian Holocaust, which took place in World War I and World War II. But do you hear about the Christian Holocaust? No, you only hear about the Jewish Holocaust because Christians don't matter. Only Jews matter because the world is run by the Jews and they are the master race. And they accuse the Germans of claiming to be the master race. No, the chosen people are clearly chosen. They call themselves the chosen people. So there you go. It's, hypocrisy all the way through. In 1958, Edward became Master Witch number 724 of the witchcraft coven called the Order of the Witch Garter. He was also the titular head of London's Freemasonic Lodge, Quatuor Coronati, which created both Nazism and Zionism in 1880 to 1910 as two sides of the same coin. So, two sides of the artificial dialectic in which Freemasonry controlled both sides, but with Zionism meant to win. Okay, so the role of Will I Am the Fifth. Think about it. Will I Am the Fifth. And so the fifth, refers to the 5 I wills of Lucifer. Hence, will I am the fifth. You want to know what the five I wills of Lucifer are? It's in the book of Isaiah. You can read it. The five I wills of Lucifer. You can just Google it. You'll see the reference and you'll see the biblical verse from the book of Isaiah. William is merely the alleged son of Charles III. In fact, his real alleged father is Guido Rothschild, and his real alleged maternal grandfather is James Goldsmith Rothschild. Hence, he is at least 75% Jewish, but maybe more than 90% Jewish when one considers the incestuous Rothschild monarchy relationship that has existed since 1818. Why the year 1818? Because in that year, the Rothschilds bailed out the British royals who were bankrupt, and in exchange, they demanded breeding rights within the British royal line. In 2008, William V became Master Witch number 1000 of the Witchcraft Coven, known as the Order of the Witch Garter. So this witch coven reserved for him the place of witch number 1000, which is 10 times 10 times 10 in the black magic Kabbalah. The number 10 signifies high kingship, so giving him the 1000th place signified high kingship in the power of 3. For this reason, many believe that the synagogue of Satan, Team Antichrist if you like, has prepared the way for Will I am the fifth, and will soon grant him the coveted role of the Antichrist. The 1994 movie Lion King was released by the Satanic Disney Corporation on the 15th of June 1994, and that coincided almost exactly with Will I Am the Fifth's 12th birthday. So think about that, 12th birthday. That's right. I mean, that's when most Jewish boys have their bar mitzvah, right? 12, age of 12. And hence also with the secret celebration of the bar mitzvah, the lion motif symbolized both Britain and Judah. With this movie and its great type soundtrack, Team Antichrist made a massive worldwide hullabaloo for Williamsburg, indicate that Team Antichrist already knew in 1994 that Will I Am the Fifth has always been its planned Jewish world monarch, also called Masiach ben David, also called Antichrist. Also, the name Will I Am the Fifth can be rendered I am 666, or arranging it as follows. Let the W in William the Fifth be rendered as VV, thus yielding VV I am the fifth. Then let each L in the latter product be rendered as I, thus yielding VVIII, I am the fifth. Finally, if you take I am, VI, 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 you get I am 666. Thus, by the reckoning this reckoning alone, the name Will I Am the Fifth can be interpreted as implicitly stating I am the Antichrist. Okay. Fake descent from King David. Many scholars have concluded that King David did not exist because there is no record of him outside the Bible. But even if he did exist, others have proven this is impossible to prove, that it's impossible to prove descent from the line of David because of the simple fact that all genealogical records of the Judeans were destroyed in 68 AD. Hence, Charles III and William V cannot actually prove their bluff of being members of the line of David. Also, the Rothschilds cannot actually prove that they descend from King Nimrod, which is one of their most audacious claims. And I would say probably bogus claim. Are the Rothschilds actually Judaic at all? I would say no. I think they're Ashkenazi Jews, and I think that they were originally Khazarian in extraction to Judaism. So they're conversos. They were actually Baal worshippers, which I take to mean that they worshipped the fallen angel Lucifer, but they changed their religion to disguise their true religion. And they became the Ashkenazi Jews, not Judaic in origin at all. Now, keep in mind, the Rothschilds' real name was Meyer, is the founder of the dynasty, the Rothschild dynasty, was Meyer Amschel Bauer. He changed his name to Rothschild because of the red shield on the front door of his accounting office in Frankfurt, Germany, a six-pointed star, which consisted of a red shield, hence red Rothschild. And so that's where the name originates. And that symbol, the six-pointed star, which has been called the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon, that six-pointed star is actually a hexagram, and it's a symbol in geometric terms of the Antichrist because there are 6 points, 6 sides, and 6 triangles. Hence, 666 is what it represents. It's the number of the beast in geometry. At the time of the destruction of the Second Temple by the non-Christian Romans in 70 AD, Flavius Josephus, often called simply Josephus, was the leading Judean historian. He recorded the fact that Herod the Great destroyed all the genealogy records of the Judeans in 68 AD. That means that all the tribal identities are now extinct. They've been eviscerated. That is one of the main reasons why any Antichrist selected and fielded by Team Antichrist will automatically qualify as fake and artificial. The real Antichrist can only be designated by destiny, really. Okay, the Capo di Tutti Capi. Since at least 1945, a special unit of MI6 has had a special role serving the English monarch behind the scenes whenever the world mafia bosses of Team Antichrist come together for a top-level powwow. This MI6 unit makes sure that the very last delegate to arrive is the Capo di Tutti Capi of the mafia system of the world. The English monarch, the highest ranking Mafia Don in the entire world mafia system. In the satanic irreligion of Team Antichrist, arriving last is reserved for the world's top Mafia Don. In 1994, Dr. John Coleman also related how before every major war or financial crisis designed by Team Antichrist, the English monarch, the Capi di Tutti Capi of the world mafia system, anchors its royal yacht Britannia off the coast of Venice and invites all the mafia bosses of the various Illuminati bloodlines of the world to come aboard and divvy up the spoils of the imminent war or imminent financial crisis. Wow. So credit here for this information goes to Patrick O'Connor. Patrick O'Connor does a lot of very interesting research and shares it with Andy and I and George Freund and other researchers. Satan's reward for all genocide. The following graphic shows the former and currently reigning world champions of genocide, but in this title match, Zionism did not eclipse the British Empire until 1950. The over 240 million victims genocided by the British Empire were all killed in the name of the English monarch. The currency of Satanism is human blood. So this can only mean that a lot of satanic power resides within the English monarchy, and that Satan must have planned a special place for it in its Talmudic New World Order. This is also one reason why many experts believe that only an English monarch will have the necessary Jewish lineage. He must be a scion of the line of David, albeit a fake one, and the necessary satanic credentials to be granted the coveted role of Antichrist. Okay, there's an author named Tim Cohen. Cohen is an interesting name because it you got to keep in mind that the ancient Hebrews, the Kohanim, were the priest class of the Hebrews. They were the only ones anointed to approach the altar where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. So Tim Cohen wrote The Antichrist in a Cup of Tea. In 1998, it was published, and it posited that Charles III matches the description for the Antichrist. However, other researchers believe Team Antichrist will grant its key role to William V. William V, King William. Okay, still worshipped like the beast of the apocalypse. Although the British Empire had a long reign as the world champion of genocide, most British slaves today still worship the English monarch fanatically as if they were worshiping the beast of the apocalypse and celebrating all the genocide done in its name. It seems that in the 500-year age of Antichrist, Britain remained virtually invincible. So did Britain get special help, special treatment from Satan to achieve this feat? In Revelation chapter 13, verse 4, it seems to forecast the beast worship, where it states, and they worship the dragon which gave power to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? All right, now think about this. The Welsh dragon is the symbol of the Prince of Wales. So think about this verse again. And they worship the dragon, which gave power to the beast. So Prince William was the Prince of Wales before he will become the king, right? And when crowned king, perhaps he will hold the distinction of being the Antichrist. Only today does it seem as if the 500-year age of Antichrist might be coming to an end because the power of Britain's Zionist attack dog, the USA, is much less than the combined forces of Russia, China, and Iran. And keep in mind that the Hopi prophecy is that the United States will be invaded by those three powers, Russia, China, and Iran. Revelation chapter 13, verse 7 seems to implicitly reference the English monarchy by stating the beast was granted power to make war with the saints and to overcome them. and authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation, while the British Empire did control a third of the world in terms of land territory, right? David Icke also claims that the red band symbolizes that the English monarchy is waist deep in blood sacrifice, victims' blood. All right. So, conclusion, the record shows that the English monarchy already gave itself to Satanism before 1066, and that its key satanic role may well ensure that the synagogue of Satan, Team Antichrist, will grant it the covenanted role of Antichrist. The fact that since 1348, every single English monarch, without exception, became a warlock of the Order of the Witch Garter indicates that the English monarchy has had a special deal with Satan for almost 700 years. The English monarchy became Jewish by its incestuous relationship with the Zionist House of Rothschild, and because of its desire to be granted the coveted role of Antichrist, which can only be given to a valid Jew of the line of David, even if the lack of records means that no one can actually prove that they have descended from the line of David. The most diabolical English monarchs of history are Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, King James VI of Scotland, who became King James I of England, Queen Victoria, Edward VII, and not yet coronated, but in line to become one of the most evil and pernicious of the English monarchs would be William V. William V. So that brings our analysis of the role played by the British monarchy in Team Antichrist to an end, Andy. What do you think, buddy?
Well, yeah, let's hope so. But we shouldn't sit and
You're
take it, put it
you're
that way.
English. How do you feel about the fact that your country's monarchy is in league with the devil?
Well, the people are as well, I think, some of them.
I guess.
But I don't know if you're aware of it, but a lot of people don't agree a lot with David Icke. But do you know what? He's been allowed back on YouTube and he's doing very short segments of 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
it's really easy to understand in that way for a lot of people. When he does 1 hour, 2 hour rants, it's your mind just goes. But he's now saying his 10-minute rant and then explaining it and then part two, part three. It's really under just to promote. I think he's wrote more books than anyone in the world. He's wrote a lot of books.
Yeah, he's written quite a few books, but I think he's actually got a team working with him. I don't believe all of those books were authored by him. I've seen different writing styles in those books, and I don't believe they're all written by David Icke. No, I don't believe it. However, I'll give him credit because "And the Truth Shall Set Me Free" is one of the best researched books out there on the history of the modern world, detailing the last 200 or 300 years worth of world events and tracing the origin of those events to the elite power structure, the satanic elite. It's done it very, very well. And I gave the book to my father to look at before he passed. And he was in the Second World War, and he was very grieved when reading it. He just looked at me and said, "Oh, to think of all those good men their lives wasted on this. He said this book should be in every school. It should be taught in every classroom. Um, yeah, I mean, if you find out who the bankers are that have been orchestrating all these genocidal wars and shut them down, maybe we will have a millennium of peace. So, I mean, say what you want about David Icke. He's done his measure of good in terms of exposing the truth about who's responsible for all these depressions, wars, revolutions, civil wars, etc., etc. He nailed it. He got it right. He did the research and he found who was responsible for all this genocide on the planet.
Yeah, well, the other day I read one of his, no, I listened to one of his videos, I mean, and then read the transcript afterwards. And he was, yeah, because when somebody says something, your brain doesn't have time to process. I think it processes better in written form. But anyway, that's just me. I process better in written form. But anyway, so he was saying that in his book, so I found out what book it was, 10, 20 years ago, he said there would be an influx of migrants. The the people would be up in arms, almost what God would have said years ago, but he said it in the last 20 years. You know, everything he's ever said has come true in some way. Not perfectly, but generally it's come true.
Yeah, no, indeed. Yeah, he's been accurate about the coming world events on so many levels. And the motives behind it, he's been spot on about that too, Andy. I mean, I'll basically paraphrase and put it in my own words. The whole effort here with the migrants coming to Europe is to destabilize all of the Western European countries, to turn them into failed states, give them failed state status. Of course, it's also to foster a divide and conquer situation in which the Christians are pitted against the Muslims and killing each other, or at least creating a civil conflict, if not a civil war, in every Western European country. And ultimately, the controllers at the top will say it's necessary to create digital ID to track everyone in order to stop the violence and all this kind of justification. Problem, reaction, solution, dialectics will be invoked time and time again to allow for the master controllers to exert more and more control. They'll call in the UN Blue Helmet troops in all these countries to restore order. They won't go away. That tyranny will remain. And, you know, there's even talk about Elon Musk creating the RoboCops of the future. When the RoboCops are dispatched and sent out to do their law enforcement. Can you imagine that, Andy?
He's a good guy,
If
though,
that
isn't
day,
he? Elon Musk
if
is a good guy.
no, I don't believe he is.
No,
No, I don't.
he's done some good work for UK activists recently. I mean, he's thrown money at the cause. He turned up at a protest unannounced in the UK a couple of months back. I think that must have been, but then a lot of people are saying, in fact, we've got 1.5 minutes. A lot of people are saying that his goodness that he brings out is coming from his dad. rather than what he really thinks himself. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know, but I don't trust him, and I don't believe he's a good guy. And I think time will show this to be the case. But I think in that respect, he's just playing controlled opposition, and probably with the aim of fomenting a civil war in the UK by encouraging British nationalists to become more um, active, more aggressive.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that one, eh?